the reason they don't make the soap anymore was because economically there were cheaper alternatives imported that came in. And then also access to the farms, to the olives, maybe they lost, or trees were cut down, or inability to trade and export like they used to.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar. This is unfortunately our final episode of a really wonderful series with Kim Thompson from Raw Coffee. Kim, we are talking about Nabulus soap. Am I saying it? Nabulus soap. It is an olive oil soap company. Tell us about olive oil soap.
I think I'm going to say it for the third or fourth time. I'm not really qualified to be talking too much about this because I'm still learning. But it's olive oil soap has been made since the 10th century. Nabulus is the area which was famous for the soap, and I think that was because that's where a lot of the olive trees grew. Although they grow all over Palestine. This is where, and maybe it's also because of the Jordan River, because they need lye, and the lye was along the banks, I believe, of the Jordan River. But it was something that was it's very important historically to the region. A lot of it was exported to Europe, and there are lots of fables and stories about it being, used by royalty on their faces and everything because it was such a good soap. It only uses 3 ingredients, so olive oil, cold pressed olive oil, unfiltered, unadulterated oil, lye, and fresh water.
What is lye?
That's all it is. It's an alkaline substance. I think it's a product from the barilla tree. That's ash that's made. It's a natural product again. But that the bubbles,
the suds.
Yes, the suds.
Okay.
But this is, I think, when you first use the soap, obviously it's got no fragrance. If it's a pure old traditional soap, you have no fragrance. It's got no color, and it doesn't make a lot of suds. So you have to get used to using it. But it's actually very moisturizing. It was a revelation to me to use it for the first time. I think we were walking through a part of the old heritage of the town, and a young man with English asked if we would come in, and we walked into this business that was closed. You could see it wasn't operating anymore, and it had the 2 great big, tubs on the bottom where they would cook the soap. And in his grandfather's time, they were making a lot of soap from this factory, and there were maybe 40 family-run businesses in that old part of the township that were relying on the income from soap. They would dry it on the ground, and then they would cut it. There are videos that you can see online.
You've got to see it. We'll put links. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I know that in Syria and Jordan and Lebanon they make soap too. So anywhere where they have olives growing, they would make the soap. Very important historically to the region. I think obviously a lot of the reason they don't make the soap anymore was because economically there were cheaper alternatives imported that came in. And then also access to the farms, to the olives, maybe they lost, or trees were cut down, or inability to trade and export like they used to.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Map It Forward's first on-demand workshop, How to Become a Coffee Consultant. Available now online for you to learn at your own pace with a certificate available upon completion. Click the link in the show notes to access today for just €50.
So sadly, I think the world is a lesser place if we don't have access to these old products that, these modern versions that you can get are not the same, and they don't have the same quality of ingredients. I know the health benefits of olive oil. Living here in the Middle East for a long period of time, I've been lucky. Olive oil to eat is something, we're lucky. And I think here in the UAE, one of our cheapest street foods is Lebanese food. Take really good Lebanese food and shawarmas and hummus and tabbouleh, and
So
most of them
good.
have. We're very, very lucky.
Shout out to Zaroub.
Yeah. But I think this factory, this young man thing, it was just like a little idea that, and I've struggled with it because obviously I've tried for a couple of years, and I've had some of the advice and had the building inspected to see if I could get it included in a heritage restoration program.
Okay.
It needs 450,000 euros to repair.
Oh, wow.
And at the moment, because of the political situation and because it's seemed to be benefiting one family rather than
the community.
I had done up some drawings and had a dream of putting a visitor centre to talk about the history of the olive oil soap, and then a smaller manufacturing plant, maybe even a modern one that was not, because it can be quite toxic. I think his father was blind. His father is blind because of the fumes that come up from cooking the soap, because as they cook it, there's fumes that come up that are quite toxic. So, and they have no health and safety, they're in open sandals, there's no apron, no gloves. So, I bought him goggles, I bought him gloves, but I've been there when he's making, and it's hot, so it's not very comfortable. So he's back doing it. He wants to do it. So
yeah,
I realized that financially I don't have that money. Yep. And really what he and his family needs is to sell soap. So I started sending him money to make the soap. I asked him to follow the traditional recipes and not get too creative with anything, not add any fragrances. Please use Palestinian oil and not use imported oil, because the oil is cheaper for him to import from, this oil from Cyprus or Spain that's available. So he's been making some soap for us that is selling beautifully down here. We have run some different competitions to try and see if we could create a brand for the soap that we could sell on a global market to a younger, more conscious sort of consumer who was looking at, not about it being from Palestine, but about it being a healthy product to put on their skin, was the way we've decided to approach it. I got some molds, silicone molds made in India, so that it would always be the same consistent size. The soap was always going to be traditional, but they're not the same size. So if we're going to get packaging, it's got to be a standardized size. I brought my hair down here, and he came and interned with a friend of mine who owns a really successful business down here called the Camel Soap Factory. Okay. So soap, you need like a fat or an oil. So she uses soap with a milk product, camel milk, down here. Okay. And she does a lot of white label work with different brands. She uses different molds. So he came down here and he saw what a well-organized business with health and safety and, a flow and a process was like. And he's gone back up there, and we are now at the point where I've had a couple of false starts with creating the brand. I ran a competition at the university, and we had some great entrants, but it was because those design students don't get to travel, they have no global world exposure. And I think I have a friend, Hassan, here, who is actually a good friend of my son-in-law, and together he's a marketing, that's his area of expertise. So now together we're going to create something that we feel is a modern brand that has no political leanings, story. It is purely about going back to a tradition of something that's really good quality and very pure and very healthy to put on your skin, and it's natural. that's how we're going to target the market. I think it's something that I think soap is. We're going to do like a bulk pack of 6 bars rather than an individual pack. It's going to be very clean, very crisp. We're actually trying to see if we can make the packaging from a friend of ours who is one of the senior lecturers for the Al Najah University in Nabulus.
Okay.
And she runs different, she calls them hackathons, Mona. And she has some students who created a product from the byproduct of the seed of the olive once it's been cold pressed to make a paper from. So we're trying to see if we could make the packaging from that, because that would be a beautiful story.
Yes.
And very natural. And it's like that beautiful circular economy. It would be another way of generating a revenue for them up there. And potentially could be used for other things as well. That they know how to make it. It's just now how we take that
to
the
market.
Next stage to market. Yeah.
You know, I really see an opportunity here for cafes, where if cafes do want to support a small business in Palestine, there really is, I mean, it's not a stretch to sell olive oil soap in a cafe. I don't know why, but it doesn't feel like it would be a stretch. And there's an opportunity there for a conversation to be started about, well, this is soap that comes from a small business artisan in Palestine.
I think I'd love to think that that's true, but I think the reality is here you have a trade license that's quite specific with what you are allowed to do and what you're allowed to sell.
Oh, I mean internationally. I mean in Australia. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying in Australia, in America, like if we were able to find a way to get these soaps international, this would be a really fantastic way that small businesses could support an artisan like this and really tell a story in their cafes about being able to help an artisan.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. I think it's something that once we get the branding finished, then I'm just going to be tapping into my network and asking them to come and have a coffee with me, and then trying to see, young women, we actually think of the target market. So people like you, I've got friends, the lady that's my creative director, we just bring everyone together and we just do some brainstorming and think about what the best way is to try and see if we can get that to market. And the goal would be that it doesn't, maybe it comes to the UAE so it can be shipped worldwide, because at the moment there would be that option, or Jordan, Amman by road. Yeah. So I think it's starting just to get the trickle going now. Everyone who buys it loves it. For me, while I love the soap, it's more about, again, Lisa has the book that she can use for dialogue. I have the soap I can use for dialogue. It's just wanting to do something to feel like you have a purpose. Yeah. That you can do something that hopefully the goal would be that I eventually get cut out of it and he goes straight to somebody that can get it to the European market or the US market. But, that's a success story, because then I can find something else that I can help to take to the next stage.
Right. And surely with both of our networks and a whole bunch of, like you were saying, a whole bunch of people that you bring together, we'll definitely be able to find coffee businesses all over the world.
We went through earlier this year repackaging. So we are now buying recycled milk carton packaging.
It's
for our
so good.
Packaging.
So good.
Maybe I twist their arm and I get something from them. I'm just waiting to see what we come up with the brand, and then I'm sure there'll be some synergy somewhere along the line but I actually prefer the idea of using the stone that's been crushed.
I love that idea.
And maybe it's a bit of a skin as well. I've got no idea, but it's a nice story.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's, like I said, it's one that is easily told in cafes all over the world, especially at a time like this when things are so polarizing and people want to find a way to bring people together in a really great conversation.
Well, and I think another thing with that, it would be,
go ahead.
The movement towards supporting local.
Yeah. And artisan.
Is. Yeah.
100%. 100%. Now, look, before we wrap up this series, what do you want, like what is the thing that you want people to take away from this discussion? It being such a polarizing time right now, what's the message you want to leave people with?
I'd love for there to be equality. I'd love for people to try and listen. I'd like for people to leave their misconceptions and to feel some compassion to whoever it is, and for there to be kindness to raise our children, for there to be kindness to care about each other, and to try and think of little things we can do. You know, potentially, you know, there's some hope that there's going to be some type of shift or change, and I hope there's not going to be more widespread mistrust and hate and hurt and other people being persecuted because there's misunderstandings. I think being informed, trying to keep up with things that are going on, not just believing certain right-wing narrative, trying to understand the other side of stories. You know, it's so easy for me to proudly be living in a Middle Eastern country. I don't see anything crazy with it. It's, you know, and I have friends from all different nationalities, all different sexual orientations, all different religions, and we're living in harmony here. You know,
I've never been anywhere that was safer. Never.
Conception that there's, you know, that we're all terrorists. It's not true.
I love it. And you know, folks, if you don't believe us, come to World of Coffee in January. Come party with us then. You'll see. I mean, we don't need to show you anything. You'll see it just as it is. Like, I'm telling you, there's no country safer than the UAE. I've traveled a lot. I've never felt safer in any country than I do in the UAE. I've never felt like living in America. That was a country that waxes poetic about safety. And freedom. I've never experienced the levels there of what I experience here.
I don't lock my house. I don't lock my car.
No. The freedom to be able to go and come and open businesses and do what you want and all that kind of thing. Like, I'm telling you, folks, there's a reason I moved here. And it's not because of squillions of dollars. I don't have squillions of dollars.
Neither do I.
Right. I live a humble, grounded life. And I feel like I can do that here. Anyway, Kim, you're an inspiration. I'm privileged to know you. I'm really humbled that you came on and talked about this. And I know you don't want to hear thank you, but keep going is all I can say. And any way that I can be of service, I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you for the platform and opportunity to share some peace and love. That's all it really is, hey?
Yep.
And how do I sign out of this? Because I know if this is about peace out and peanut butter.
Peace, love, and peanut butter.
Peace, love, and peanut butter. Okay, right, sorry. Right, ready. Peace, love, and peanut butter.
Have an amazing rest of your day, folks. Bye. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.